Welcome to part 5 of Kaleidoscope Blanket by Bligh. These 2 weeks we're going to be sewing together some of our triangles to make our center pieces. So I want to show you and give you an example of what mine look like. Here is my larger one, and I'll kind of get a little closer. You can see my stitches that go down the middle are not perfect. But you really don't notice them at all. At least I don't. So this is the larger one right here. And then here is the smaller motif. I've got them labeled because I don't want to get the pieces confused and want to make sure that I'm doing them the right way. So I also want to show you what my triangles look like before I started. So you can kind of tell that some of them might be a little bigger than other ones or smaller, but after you sew them together, it all just comes together and you don't notice that. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I do want to show that in the pattern, Catherine has given us a diagram, and you can see where I have shaded the ones I've done already, just to kind of help me stay organized. And then I labeled my pieces that I've already done with my triangle number. So like this was triangle 2B and triangle 3A, and then I've shaded those in. Okay, and then on our next page, the very last page, she gives us a help on how to sew our pieces together where we're only going one full crochet at a time around. So you don't have a whole bunch of ends to sew in at the end, just the beginning and the end. So we're going to start with the smaller one, okay? So you start at the tip. We're going to sew up the side, across the top, and then come back down. One thing that Catherine does let us know with our triangles is that you're going to be sewing these together with their fronts facing. Okay, so fronts facing, you're going to be crocheting one single crochet through each one of these along the top. When you come to the end of the top, you're going to chain one. You will end up folding it out and then putting your next triangle here, and then you will continue to crochet down the edge. Okay, so another thing is that you're going to, the rows that have a single crochet, you're going to put one single crochet in that row. The rows that have a double crochet, like this purple one right here, you would work 2 single crochets in that edge. Okay, so what I use to help me is if I'm looking down through this middle, I kept my post lined up inside, and I tried to make sure that I have 4 to 5 stitches for each length of post. So you'll have 23 total going down the side with 1 extra single crochet in the very tips down here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay. We start with a slip knot, okay? And then we're going to begin at the point of one of these. So what I have is the middle triangle and then one of the side triangles. So I'm going to fold them together and start at the tip down here. And we want one single crochet into the tip. Okay. And then there is that. That is also our standing crochet. And this is row 1, I believe. I'm going to move on, do another single crochet. Okay. And I will tell you that I did not always get 23 stitches along the side. I tried to aim for 23 stitches. Sometimes I got one extra or came up with one short, but as long as I came pretty close, then I left it. Everything ends up looking okay in the end. So I'm going to keep going and keep working my single crochets along this edge. And I'm going to go ahead and leave the camera going and give you some groovy music, and I'll go ahead and film it for this smaller motif. I'm going to show myself crocheting all the edges, but on the larger motif, I'm going to pause the video and crochet it and then come back at the transitions. So I'll go ahead and show you for now my crocheting down along the edge. And I do want to remind you that you do get better at it and it does get easier. So just remember to keep practicing and try not to feel like it has to look perfect, okay? Because a lot of the things that you're going to want it to look perfect are just things that you're just not going to notice at the end. I know some of you are very delicate crocheters. I am not. I am a push the needle through and just make it do what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish along this edge now. I just kind of try to keep my pieces lined up by the post stitches. I know a lot of people like to use safety pins to hold their pieces together and stitch markers, but I've never really gotten the hang of doing that myself. So I just kind of tried to eyeball it and keep it held together myself. So I'm going to go ahead and finish, and when I come to the end, I will come back and let you see how I do it. Okay, so now I've come to my last edge stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and make my last single crochet along the edge. When you come to this point, you're going to chain one, fold your piece open, okay? Find your next piece that you're crocheting, put your fronts together, and then now you're going to crochet along the top. Okay, so it's just pick up one single crochet from each triangle. If I can get it through there. Sometimes I crochet too tightly and my needle doesn't want to go through very easily. So let's see. Okay, here we go. Okay. I think everybody's going to find that the tops go way faster than the sides. At least for me, they do. Okay, so I've come to the edge again, and I'm doing my last single crochet. So now at the end, you're going to chain one, and then kind of open your piece up, figure out where you're at, and we're sewing this side now. So I'm going to fold my fronts together, and now I'm going to crochet down the edge. I just want to let everybody know that the larger motif, I won't be showing the crocheting down along the edges and the top. I'm just going to show the transitions because otherwise the video would be like 3 hours long. So I don't, anybody wants to watch me crochet for 3 hours. So I just want, but I did want to give you a little bit so you can kind of see how I'm doing it. I read the comments and see if other people come up with easier ways of doing this or better ways. So feel free to, post and share your knowledge and let people know if you have an easier way to do this. This is the way that I believe Catherine instructs us to do it. So I'm doing it this way, and hopefully I read the instructions correctly. So again, I keep looking at this because I'm keeping my post lined up, the color changes, and it just kind of helps me keep them in the right place so that they match up at the end. Okay. Now, when you get to the tip of the triangles, you're going to put your last single crochet in right at the tip. And let me check. When you reach the beginning, you're going to chain one and then single crochet, or do a slip stitch, sorry about that, into the first one. Okay, so there is that. And now you would cut your edges. We'll turn it over and look at it. You can kind of see what it looks like. This is the smaller motif. This one goes fairly quickly. The larger one takes, whoops, sorry about that. The larger one takes a little bit longer, and we'll get started on it right away. Now we are going to start our larger motif. I have it laid out on the table the way that I'm going to sew it together. So what I'm going to do is come over here to the diagram and look at what I need to do first. So as you look at the diagram, you're going to follow your numbers from 1 to 10 and then back to the beginning. So if you'll notice, 1 to 2 starts across the top of here. So I'm going to go over to my motif and I'm going to pick the 2 that go across the top and bring my pieces over here. Okay, so in the diagram it shows that we would be crocheting across and from left to right, but I crochet from right to left, so I'm going to flip it over so I can start on the right and go to the left. So you're going to start with a standing crochet. So you do that by starting with a slip knot, okay, and then you're going to insert it into the stitches that you're going to be crocheting. So I'm going to go into this single crochet, the first one on my first triangle, and then go straight through to the second one. Yarn over and pull up a loop. After you've pulled through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through again. And that is your beginning with a standing single crochet. Now I'm going to single crochet across to the end, and when I get to the end I will stop it and come back and show you. I will come back on here and talk through the video. So I'm just going to keep working across the top right now, and I'll come back once I get to the corner and talk you through the corner. So let's get started. Okay, let's see, let me put it back together. Okay, so we're going down this side now. Let me get situated. Okay, so I've got my last single crochet. Whoops, I actually pulled one out. Let me go back and get that one. I pulled it out. So there's my last single crochet. Remember to do a chain 1 at the end of each row. Okay, so now we're going to work down this edge. So that very top row, we're going to pick up 1 strand from each, there it is, from each triangle. Okay, so let me come over here and find this one. Sometimes this was a little difficult. Just kind of have to try to do your best. Okay, and if I can, you can kind of look through here now and see your post. And so what I would try to do is I would make sure that my colors lined up, right? So that I was keeping my triangles lined up pretty well. Okay, so you can kind of see where one post ends and the next one starts. And that's kind of how I kept mine in order. So I can see my first post down in there. So I know I need to work 5 single crochets along the length of that post. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to pick up 1 strand from each triangle if I can. There you go. I crochet kind of tight, so this was not necessarily easy. And it does get easier, I will tell you that. Just like remember the squares, you know, it's just a process of trying to get used to it. Okay, so, and if you end up picking up more than 1 strand, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Just try to only get 1 from each triangle. And I did end up some places with more than 23 stitches along the side or less than 23 stitches. I was usually pretty close, like maybe one over or under. And everything still turned out okay and looks great. So just try to do your best with it is what I would say. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep working along this edge. And then I will come back when I get towards the bottom of it and show you how to do the transition. Okay, so now I'm coming close to the tip. I'm working my last 2 single crochets along this side. Okay, and then my last one is just going to go into the tip of each triangle. And there we go. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it and kind of open it up so you can see it. My stitches aren't perfect. Oh, you can see I accidentally picked up the whole post right there, so I might have to go back and fix that one off camera. So, but now I would go ahead and lay it back down over here. So I'm laying it back out with my pattern pieces. And if I'm looking at my pattern right here, I went 2 to 3. Now I'm going to do 3 to 4. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here. That means that I'm going to come here and then work my way down this side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fold this one over, bring it over here, and then bring this one back over. Okay, so we're working across the tips right there first. Okay, so I have laid out, I just finished sewing along this edge, and I'm going to go right across the middle and then sew along this edge. So I just did the final tip. So on this first time that you go across, you just go straight across and do your single crochets in the tips of these triangles. Okay, so we went from 1 single crochet in this set of triangles right into the next single crochet for the next set of triangles. And now I'm going to be working along this edge. So I'm going to kind of match up. What I do is I just kind of match up the post. I know a lot of you might want to use stitch markers. I found that those don't work very well for me. So it's easier for me just to kind of keep these together. You know, like where this one starts should be where this post starts. Okay, and then I work up the edges. So right here, from here to here, we should have 3 single crochets before this next post starts. So I'm going to go ahead and work those. And remember, try to only pick up 1 strand from each triangle when you're doing this. Well, whoops, not enough of a strand there. I do get faster at this. I know I'm slow. I'll go ahead and work along this side again. And when I get down here to the edge, I'll come back and explain how to do that transition. Okay, so I have my last single crochet here, my chain 1, and now I'm going to do my single crochets across the top of the triangles. So I'm going to go into the first single crochet on the first triangle and the first single crochet on the second triangle, and go ahead and work my single crochet. And I'm going to go ahead and do this all the way across this side. Okay. Okay, so I'm doing my last single crochet along the top of these triangles. So remember, after you do your last single crochet, go ahead and chain 1. So this is what it should look like so far, what you have. So we are going to be doing, so we just went across here, and that is 4 to 5. Now we're going to be working all the way across here, 5 to 6, but we're going to start with this little section right here. So this is a red triangle, so I'm going to go ahead and grab it. Okay, this is where it's going to fit in, and we're going to be working this edge. So I'm going to fold it over and then start working that edge along that side. So remember, just try to pick up one strand, and I will meet you back here when I get to the point of these 2 triangles. Okay? Okay, I finished crocheting along this edge. I'm going to lay it back out again so that you can kind of see where I'm at. Okay, so I just crocheted along here. This was half of 5 to 6. So now I'm going to go across here, and I need to crochet these 2 together. Okay, so this is a yellow one and a red one right there. So we're going to be coming right across here and then going through here. So now, since we've already come across the middle right here, we're going to do 1 slip stitch across the center, and then we're going to go into our single crochet in the tip here and across here. Okay, so let me show you that. Okay, so I have my last single crochet in the tip right here, and here is across the center. So I'm going to do a slip stitch so basically I'm just going through that middle, that very last thing right here across it, and pull a loop up and go ahead and pull that loop through the other loop. Okay, so that's it. So let me show you that again. Okay. Okay, so here's where we went across the center right here. So we're going to do a slip stitch across the center. So I'm going to go ahead and go around it, pull up a loop, and pull that loop through my loop. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and start working along the edge right here. Okay, so along this edge. And you need to be really careful that you don't get your edges mixed up, and so you might have to lay it back out a couple times, which I'm going to do right now because I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be doing this side or this side, and I don't want to confuse. So I'm going to go ahead and start my single crochet in the tip and then start working along the edge, and then I'll be back with you when I get to the end. Okay, so I've crocheted along this last edge, which was 5 to 6 right there. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to lay it back out and see if I can figure out where I'm at. Okay, so we just did this section. This was 5 to 6, and now we're going to do 6 to 7, which is up this side. So I'm sorry, right there. So I'm going to fold this one over and get started on that one. So into the first single crochet and into the first single crochet on this side. Oops, let me look at it, make sure I'm getting it in the right place. Sometimes they don't want to go for me. There it is. Okay. And then I'm going to work my way across the top right here, and then I will be right back with you. Okay, so I finished along the top of these triangles. My last was a single crochet, so I'm going to do my chain 1 and lay this back out. Okay, this is where I'm at right now. I just went across here. So we did 6 to 7, and now we're going to work 7 to 8, which is right across this middle piece right here. So I'm going to do this right here. Okay, so I'm going to lay this, fold this over, and then work along this edge. Okay, and I will meet you back here when I get to the middle. Okay, I'm working my last couple stitches along this edge, close to this point of the triangles. So I thought I would come on here and kind of show you what it looked like. You can kind of see my where I've sewed in my edges. Some of my edges are coming out close to the triangles, the points. So I will probably go back and try to trim those up or tuck those in somewhere. Let's see. There you go. Okay, and now I'm almost, so it gets mine, I mean, they look kind of messy close to the tips. I'm gonna be honest with you. But when I fold it out, it comes out looking okay. So let me unfold this back out and lay it out for you so you can kind of see. Whoops, I think it's this way. Okay, where was I at? I think I was, let's see, I went 5 to 6, 6 to 7. Oh, I just sewed down this side. Okay. And now I'm at the corner right here. So I'm going to slip stitch across the middle. Okay, so you can either go around the whole thing or just kind of pick up some of those threads in the middle somewhere and do a slip stitch. Okay, so I've got my slip stitch, and now I'm going to 7, 8, let's see, I'm coming down here and I'm going down this side right here. Okay, so I'm gonna fold this over, and I know it's kind of repetitive the way I keep laying it out, but I have to do it, otherwise I get confused about where I was at. So I do it every time I start a new triangle. I lay it out. Okay, so I'm going to lay this one on here, and now I'm going to go along this edge. So pick up my hook and do my first single crochet into the very tip right here. And now I'm going to start my single crochets along this edge. And then I'll come back when I get to the end of it. I finished going along this edge. I'm at the top of the triangles. I'm going to go ahead and do my chain 1, and I'm going to lay it out again and figure out where I'm at, maybe. Or, wait a minute, does this need to go? Nope, I think it was right. Okay, so it was right here. Sorry about that. I'm trying to figure it out as I go. So now I'm going to go across from 9 to 10, and so I'm going to lay this one right here and go across here now. Okay? Let me go ahead and see if I can pick this up without pulling anything out, which I didn't. Pulled out my chain and one of my single crochets. Let me get that back in there. Okay, there's my last single crochet, my chain 1, and now I'm going to work along the top of these 2 triangles. And I'm going to go into the top of this one and into the very top first one here, and then work across the top. I am doing my last single crochet along my top edge there. That's my knot on the end, that's why it kind of looks weird. And then my single chain that you do at the edge of these. And now the only thing we have left to do is you crochet along this side, okay? And then at the end, then we'll be done, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and fold this over and crochet, do my single crochets along the edge right here, my slip stitch into the center, and then my single crochets along the edge, and then I will end up back where I started at. Okay, so I'll come back when I get right here. I am doing my last single crochet along my top edge there. That's my knot on the end, that's why it kind of looks weird. And then my single chain that you do at the edge of these. And now the only thing we have left to do is you crochet along this side, okay? And then at the end, then we'll be done, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and fold this over and crochet, do my single crochets along the edge right here, my slip stitch into the center, and then my single crochets along the edge, and then I will end up back where I started at. Okay, so I'll come back when I get right here. I have been crocheting along this edge right here, and I want to show you kind of where I'm at right now. It gets a little tricky when you get closer to the middle, so I've kind of opened it up and laid it out flat. So I'm going to pick up those 2 last triangle stitches and complete that single crochet, and now I'm going to do my slip stitch through the middle. Okay, there's my slip stitch, and I'm going to fold together my 2 last pieces and crochet along this edge now, and then I will come back and show you what it ends up looking like. Okay, so I will see you back in just a bit. Okay, so I finished crocheting this row, and I'm at the very end of the very last section to sew in, and I'm going to chain, or I've already chained 1, okay, and then you're supposed to join with a slip stitch to your very first single chain. So there's my slip stitch, and then I'm going to pull my other one through, and there it's all connected. I have a couple little strands sticking out, that I'm going to have to go back in and re-sew. And I'll go ahead and kind of give you guys an idea what it all looks like after we got done with it. So, okay. So this is the end of part 5. We are going to be making 4 of these larger ones and then 8 of the smaller sections. And I hope to hope you guys do well with this, and I will be back in 2 weeks.